I delight in the wonder of botany. You know, the closer you look, the more you find, the deeper your connection is, and the more nourishing it is for us. You know, there's orchids all around us that are watching us and we don't know where they are. That's part of what I love about being outside in an orchid land. I'm Deborah Wace. I'm a botanical artist and fabric designer and printmaker. I create fabrics from the flora of the wild endangered Tasmanian species, and the stories that accompany them are the inspiration for my work. This delightful little orchid is called Terastylus nutans, a nodding greenhood. And I just love it. I love how it's so bent over, but it also offers so much to the viewer because you can see inside it, and it's got this little sort of atmosphere, bulbous head that has like stained glass windows inside the workings of the orchid. It's been the deepest, most pervasive thread in my life is botany and delight in botanical form. So in this silk print we see the coming together of the orchids. This is Terastylus nutans, a dry point print of mine, together with the plant specimen collection, the plant pressings of other greenhood Terastylus, and the Billidaria longiflora in monoprint, and the Drosera binata, which you might find these all in the same landscape. And to bring them together all in the same silk print or wallpaper is just, it's so pleasing. I really love it. I was born in Adelaide and I grew up in Canberra. My father was a botanist, Dr. Nigel Wace at the ANU, and we would go on field trips with my dad. And I started collecting plants and leaves as a child to make things with, to make birds and mobiles. And I had a whole taxonomic collection in compartmentalised shoeboxes. I really enjoyed the form and then learning about the function of plants. But certainly it was an artistic endeavour before it became linked to the scientific endeavour, but now I really love to bring the both of them together. I really like that mirroring of form that you can see in your own skin, your own body, into the plant world. It's luscious, it's deeply connective, and it brings me a real sustaining sort of quiet joy. It's hard to explain, but I deeply love it. Through flattening the plant, you get to see it in a different way. Parts of it are revealed that weren't before. Some plants are really hard to press because they're so delicate. So really what I'm doing is using the leaves and the flowers as natural stencils, inking these up and printing them in a monoprinting process through my press. I let the process take me. Usually I'm here for hours and hours and I get immersed and lost in this process. It's beautiful. It's always a surprise, and I really love how the monoprinting process reveals the character of the plant, the minutiae, the venation of the leaves. It's sort of a mystery revealed, really. My work has many threads. All of the outcome of these works are then digitised at high resolution so that I can have an element library to design from. That's a computer-generated designs in many layers that I can then get printed digitally onto fabrics. Silk is my favourite. I love the connection into the early botanical record, the early collectors. For 20 years I lived on a button grass plain down at Loon River in the far south of Tasmania, which is about 8 kilometres away from Research Bay, which has cross-cultural relevance for the Lailakwani people, who were the Palawa people of this landscape, who met with the French there in a peaceful meeting. This hasn't happened often. This is a peaceful meeting and a sharing of culture and campfire culture. So the French naturalist Labilladière collected the type specimens. He was on the D'Entrecasteaux voyage that first landed in Research Bay in 1792, And what they found there was extraordinary to them, a magical place. And the botanical collections that they made from this first discovery really informed the first flora of Australia. Novae hollandae plantarum specimen, those beautiful 2 volumes, is the result of the engravings made from the type specimens that were collected by Labilladière and Félix Lahaye. And I found myself applying for a Churchill Fellowship to go and study the early French collections from Tasmania in herbaria collections in Florence, Paris, and Kew Gardens in Kew Herbarium in London.
The original labels by Labilladière with his
handwriting.
Yes.
That was amazing because I'd gone from this very landscape amongst these plants that are so familiar to me. That was enormously fulfilling. And I also found in Kew Herbarium my father's collections.
Ah, there's Wace.
Yes.
Yes.
That's probably named after your father.
It was.
And I just feel like I'm within these collections now. It's very gratifying and very moving for me, really. One of my ongoing concerns and a real part of my work in these last 5 and 10 years is the relevance of the threatened species within Tasmania. This plant we see here is Lomatia tasmanica. It's a critically endangered plant. It's very under threat. It's printed here on the lichen and a bladderwort base, and the curators at the Royal Tasmanian Botanical Gardens are successfully propagating it, which is fantastic. Recently, I have been producing many designs onto fabric that have been part of this sartorial naturalist film. And underwater, we go into swathes of fabric printed with the kelp and the red and white seaweeds. And I wanted to do this to highlight the threatened aspects of the kelp forests because it is increasingly at risk with the warming of the oceans down here, and it's really failing. And whole ecosystems will be failing because of that. And it's we really need to wake up to what's going on under the water. One thing I'm really hoping to achieve through my work is to invite people into a deeper connection with nature and get them to look closer and look at their actions and what their actions do, because it all counts what we do. Yeah, being able to put beautiful fabrics on people's bodies and then they care more about that plant, that's pretty good for me.